Steve.
What?
You're here. We're here with Adam, and you're Steve, and this is Ass. We're gonna talk about Beetlejuice today. How you doing today, Steve?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. There's a lot of great movies out. We are playing a little bit of catch up on August and September. I brought up Beetlejuice. Let's talk. That's probably the big kahuna, right?
Absolutely. It's probably the most talked about thing right now when it comes to almost anybody. I mean, even my niece, she hasn't seen the new one yet, but all of the
Hmm.
Beetlejuice hype has got her to start watching the old one. And she told me on the phone yesterday how much she loves Beetlejuice. So it's the talk of the town, so we got to get to it first. So
That's
should I
awesome.
start?
That's
Oh yeah,
crazy
no.
because she's like young, and so I mean, it's a
Yeah.
kid-friendly movie, but
Yeah, she's turning 7 in a month. So yeah,
wow.
yeah,
Oh my God. I don't know why I thought she was like younger than that. I don't know. But
yeah.
wow, crazy. That's awesome that it's being reintroduced to other generations, which is why that's one of the benefits of resurrecting a franchise like this, right?
Absolutely. And honestly, I know we're probably on two different ends here, but personally, I think this was a really fun way to do a spiritual sequel because there's a lot of them that don't really work as often, and there were a lot of things working against them when they kind of started doing this, whether it was the time period being so long past when it comes to all of the aging of people and people being canceled and whatnot, and just different things like that. There's a lot of different ways that this could have gone horribly, horribly worse than it did. But is it a perfect movie? I wouldn't ever say that, but it is a really fun time that, for the most part, I think nails most of the characters, but just honestly feels like it's a little bit too late in some aspects. But overall, I had a lot of fun with it. What do you think?
You know, it's funny you say the too late thing, and the first thing that makes me think of is one of my main concerns going into the movie was I don't want to watch this movie and think, oh, Michael Keaton's old, because that's sad, and we have that with like Star Wars and other things. But here, that wasn't a concern for me. I'm definitely on the other end of the spectrum. I didn't really enjoy this movie very much at all. But one thing I do appreciate about the movie is that Keaton doesn't seem to have skipped a beat. Now, I don't think that he did great. Like one of my problems is remember that iconic like little speech he did bit that he does where he's like saying his qualifications. And
Hmm.
he's like, "Oh, I went to Juilliard and I, I did this. I lived through the Black Plague. I've seen The Exorcist 167 times." And there was nothing like that here, like a new great like quote or moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and unfortunately, I would like to know more about the behind the scenes of this one because when it comes to that first Beetlejuice, I've watched more stuff about it recently and they talk a lot about it. And when it comes to a lot of Keaton's dialogue, there was plenty of it that was just improv right off the top of the dome when it comes to Michael Keaton just being a stand-up comedian already and having that comedic timing. So he was able to just do that stuff. And where we're talking about with his age, that could just be an aspect of that, whether it's maybe the script was didn't have that spot in it that he could really improv, like they really tried to write it more than they improv, or maybe Keaton just wasn't in improv shape because I mean, when it comes to comedy, he's still doing like every now and then comedies, but it's not like writing bits and doing like stuff off the top of the dome, you know what I'm saying? So he
Mhm.
might be just out of season when it comes to that, unfortunately. But I don't think he was horribly like not Beetlejuice in this. Like some people have said, like, oh
Yeah, he
my
wasn't
God.
bad at all.
Yeah. And the other thing that I really loved was the set designs and everything. Like the house that they rebuilt to look like the old one looked awesome. The underworld stuff looked cool. Like all of the worlds that Tim Burton builds, he still does a really cool job, in my opinion.
That's another thing that I do really love and appreciate about the movie is the commitment to practical effects. He does have a distinct style and personality, and just the whole look of the movie is a lot of fun. That being said, I think that my problem with the movie is Tim Burton. Now, he hasn't really had a unadulterated success in I mean, what was the last movie that was like a huge like success for him, like critically and box office wise? Was it Alice in Wonderland?
I mean, if that's even that much critically, is it?
Exactly. I mean, it made a billion dollars. I know that, but
I mean,
or
truly would
close
have to
to
go
it.
back even to say like box office and critical would have to be like the late 90s probably when it comes to his work with like Edward Scissorhands and different things like that. Because like
Mhm.
even the early 2000s when he did like Planet of the Apes, I don't think that was a critical darling either. So he's
Oh, it
just
definitely
had
wasn't.
he's always just been around and will always have the big enough name for just doing such off the wall weird stuff that he's built enough of an audience, like say Rob Zombie and different things, where his audience comes out to still see it no matter what it is. And I'm a member of that audience still, but I understand his commercial success just hasn't really been there. But this one, I mean, seems to be his biggest one yet when it comes to at least like the last 10 plus years, because I think I read earlier today too that it's still like holding strong with its second week.
Mm. Well, I can't say I'm not a fan because he's my second most watched director of all time. I have 19 of his films. I think I just need to rewatch Big Fish because I saw it as a kid, but I remember zero about it, so I don't have it logged as like watched. And
Yeah.
he's just ahead of Scorsese, who I have 18 films from. So I feel awful about that.
No, it's the
But
right way.
but Tim Burton, I think my problem with him here is the last like on paper success that he had was that Wednesday show, right? And I'm not a big
Hmm.
TV guy, so I didn't watch that. Did you watch the show?
Yeah, I loved it.
That's great. Yeah, I've heard many people loved it. It's a big pop culture phenomenon. But that show, had a huge critical success, and so now he goes to do Beetlejuice, which is kind of a similar thing. Let's take an old franchise that's kind of like a fun, spooky family Halloween franchise. Let's add a Jenna Ortega to it, and let's add my own Burton spin. The only difference is that Wednesday. How long were the episodes of Wednesday? If you like ballpark,
I want to
like
say
45 an hour.
they were at least 30 to 40 minutes, I want to say.
Okay, and then
Sometimes
how many
longer, like
episodes
to an
were there?
hour. 8 to 10. I can look real quick because I have Netflix right here. But
Mhm.
I
Well,
mean, they were all quite good in my opinion. Like there wasn't any weakness to any of the length of it, and I'm curious to see where it goes after that. But
mm,
the biggest thing for his success for me too is Danny Elfman being his muse basically when it comes to all the music he's ever made. Because I
mm,
just love all of it, and he just fits his whimsical tones so much that it really just puts you into the world even more.
Elfman's fantastic, one of the best composers of all time.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is like that's like 4 to 5 hours of time to flesh out this Wednesday story, right? And here we only have 100 minutes, whereas the first one was 90 minutes. We have 100 minutes for Beetlejuice, and there's
I was
so
wrong.
much going on. What was your
Sorry, I said I was wrong. 8 hour long episodes, just about like 52 an
eight
hour.
hours 8 hours, like
Yeah.
even if it was 52 minutes, like 7 hours compared to 100 minutes. And here we have just so much going on. Winona Ryder's doing her show, and then she's
Yeah.
trying to get married to Justin Thoreau, but then Catherine O'Hara has her art business, and then Jenna Ortega likes this guy, and then Beetle just doing his own thing, but his wife is also out there, and we're all trying to do that in 100 minutes. Oh, also, by the way, Willem Dafoe is a detective, I guess. I love
He's a
him, but
he's a
what is he
TV show
doing?
detective,
Sure, but in the
but he thinks
afterworld,
he's
he's
still a
like,
detective in the afterworld. Yeah.
yeah. So I don't know. If I'm Tim Burton, I cut maybe like Justin Thoreau, like because I knew where that was going right away. I would cut.
But you don't want to cut Justin Thoreau because he's just so good.
I mean, all power to him, man. I just I didn't really enjoy his storyline. Willem Dafoe is cute and I love him, but I cut that. Monica Bellucci, cut that. I would cut Jenna
But
Ortega.
she's
I
so
don't like her at
hot.
all. Monica Bellucci is so hot, but I don't feel like that they took advantage of that attribute.
No, yeah,
Uh,
I 1,000,000% agree. I will defend Tim on this aspect and say that he did not write the movie.
mhm.
So he like it was a bit messy from that aspect, I can truly see. And yeah, I would have definitely trimmed up some of that stuff because it did feel a little bit like not even bloated, but just like there were so many things to throw in at once, and it was just all over the place a lot of times. And yeah, it just
Mhm.
kind of got muddy to the point where you kind of just, and it felt very abrupt when it ended to the point where like, as you probably would never say, I would have enjoyed seeing more go a little bit longer in some aspects just to get some more endings to all of those plot lines a bit cleaner than we did.
take more time if it means we got a better final product, because like especially like what Jenna Ortega's thing with that guy, that's wrapped up like nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that was super weird to me. And I don't know, just Justin Theroux, especially the whole like predictive, which by the way, Jenna Ortega's plot line almost identically matches a plot line from another family-based horror franchise movie that came out this year, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire.
Haven't seen it yet.
Oh, well, there's a very similar ordeal that goes on in that movie. And I hate that movie. So like once I realized that this movie was trying to do what that movie did, I was like, oh, then this sucks. And somehow Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, I feel like did it better. So that really frustrated me. And then I don't know. I just take a note from another Jenna Ortega franchise, and I'm not talking about The Babysitter. Scream 5, right? The concept of the requel and all of the baggage that comes with it, and I mean, to be polite, how ambitious a requel is because you're trying to make everyone happy. We have to have the old characters back, and they have to be true to who they were, and we have to give them plenty to do here, and we have to remind everybody about all the fun stuff from the original. But also, we want to move forward into the future, so we want to inject some youth. Let's get a hot young star, Jenna Ortega, and let's do the phones, and we're talking about like woke stuff like climate change and trauma dumping and whatnot. And so I feel like they're just trying to satisfy everybody, and they're trying to cast the widest net possible to make money. And I just feel like by trying to satisfy everybody, you're satisfying no one. But I am wrong. This movie's making so much money, and it has a great score from critics and audiences.
Yep, I'm on the other side completely, but I like, and that's the funny part though. Like, I have my rose-colored glasses on for sure, and I agree with a lot of what you're saying, but I'm just having fun with it, you know?
I'll agree because it's not really my franchise. Like I watched it once, like a decade ago, and rewatching
Oh,
it right before this one kind of hurt the new one for me because, Beetlejuice, iconic movie, right? And that movie that I've seen before, and I like surprised me. I forgot about the whole they want to take advantage of them and make the like a theme park attraction out of them or whatever.
yeah.
Like, so I'm surprised by a iconic movie that I've seen before, and then I watch the new one, and I'm like, oh, so he's going to do this. Oh, and she's going to do this. And I know how this ends already.
Yeah,
But
I
it is
can.
fun and the sets are fun. I don't want to be too much of a Grinch. I'm happy that people are going to the theater and buying popcorn. I wish that this movie was still out in October and, didn't go straight to what, Max? It's going to go to Max in a month or like 2 weeks
Yeah, I
now,
mean,
right?
it would be smart if they did like a big re-release right around Halloween too, if they don't have anything Halloween-wise for Warner Brothers coming out, which I don't really know, but I don't think so.
Mm-hmm. I and it's a huge success. Which, by the way, speaking of huge success, you drafted Beetlejuice, which I have listed here as Beetlejuice 2, which got a 77% from critics, and obviously it's made 100 million domestically. It's a wild success. It's what the third highest opening weekend of the year behind Inside Out 2 and Deadpool
I
3.
believe so.
Yeah, so at 77 points to your total, that gets you up to 322. I am at 386. I have
Ooh,
Joker 2, Mufasa, and not really Ballerina left with a
damn.
68-point lead or 64-point lead. And then you have Wicked, Sonic 3, Gladiator 2, and Saw 11. So
Dude, I
it's
forgot
going to
about
be
Saw
tight.
11 coming out this year.
I have too. I haven't seen a trailer or heard a single thing about it.
I hope it actually does.
I mean, like what? That's the whole point of the Saw franchise, right? Is we can like whip out another one in like in no time.
Yeah, and honestly, especially if we got what's his name? Why can't I say it right now? Kevin Reuter or whatever. If he's still
Mm-hmm.
directing, I'm still down because that dude just does a lot of fun stuff and knows the series.
Mm-hmm. Well, just to wrap my opinion on Beetlejuice, though, I appreciate it's probably more. I don't know. I can't say much of anything really nice besides the practical effects are nice, and I like seeing Keaton in this role. People are talking about Beetlejuice goes Hawaiian. I mean, clearly, like you got to do more, right? There's clearly an audience for Beetlejuice, and if Keaton is down,
Yeah, I
I
mean,
just.
like I
Mhm.
said with my niece becoming a huge fan, like she also when she went to school, all the girls are watching Wednesday and whatnot too. So like Tim Burton's having a renaissance right now for the younger people. So it'd be crazy for them not to take advantage of the moment. And if Keaton's still down, honestly, the person who stole the show for me for this movie though was Catherine O'Hara. She had me
Mhm.
laughing constantly with her different bits that she had. Yeah,
Mhm.
I had a fun time with it. I see all of the yeah, like I said, it's not a perfect movie, but it is a fun movie.
Yeah, I think one thing I had a problem with is I would love to see a different director put their stamp on it. Like obviously I wouldn't want the Daniels to waste their time doing a Beetlejuice 3, but like, something like that. We need this like chaotic energy, maybe this like some kind of like Deadpool energy. Now I also don't want, a David Leitch or a Sean Levy. Well, actually, Sean Levy could do this. He did all the Stranger Things stuff, so he's good at like family horror type stuff and
Well,
like
yeah,
some outrageous comedy.
he did the Night at the Museum stuff too, didn't he?
Yeah.
So
So
like he
like,
gets the whimsical side of things too. I think he could handle that.
I guess I would rather Tim Miller if I had to pick any Deadpool director to do it. But I don't really know what he's up to. But I don't know. I just think that Burton is played out. I put in my review that I think he's kind of like when then we talk about like notable directors, like directors that your mom knows. You know what I mean? That's like Spielberg, Scorsese, Michael Bay, Tim Burton. And I promise you that Tim Burton, quality wise, like historically, is infinitely closer to Bay than. Well, actually, please, I would love to hear your opinion on that. Who's the better all time director, Bay or Burton?
For longevity's sake, I would probably say Burton, but like when it comes to box office, I mean Bay has him probably beat by a significant amount.
I would go Burton pretty confidently. I mean, I don't think that there's anything that Bay has done at all that matches the likes of like Edward Scissorhands and the Keaton Batman films and Beetlejuice.
When it comes to box office, even like the Transformers stuff.
Box office. I mean,
That's
yeah,
what I was
Bay
just
has a
that's
little
what
bit
only what I
more.
meant by that. But yeah, I would say Burton for sure when it comes to just like what people will remember after they're both long gone.
Yeah, I mean the Burton style, especially at Burton's less like one thing I'll say about Burton is he's not douchey, which is what I would call Michael Bay is like douchebag cinema. I really like The Ambulance, and I'll see whatever Michael Bay makes. He's got some good
Yeah.
movies
I
to make
mean,
memes.
especially I just like to watch stupid fun movies sometimes. And I mean, Beetlejuice is teeters on the edge of that being one of those movies too. But you know, a movie that's fun and not so stupid in my opinion,
What you got?
Alien Romulus.
Hmm.
That movie. So I'm one of the few people it feels like sometimes that when it comes to Alien or Alien 2, the original Alien is my favorite of those two, even though they're both damn near perfect movies. But it's because I like sci-fi horror more than I like sci-fi action a bit more. And
Hmm.
when it comes to this franchise, it's kind of teetered on the horror sometimes, but hasn't gone as fully as the first one did, especially when it comes to just like being dark and like building up the tension and everything. But when it comes to Alien Romulus, Fede Alvarez, I think he kind of nailed the trying to match the original tone of everything. And I just truly, really loved this movie. I want to watch it again. I wish I could have seen it in IMAX again or any other format like a 40X thing. I still haven't experienced anything like that yet, but this movie was so damn cool.
Have you seen every single Alien movie? Like even the old both Alien versus Predators.
The only ones I have not seen are the Alien versus Predator movies, those two. I've seen all the aliens, I've seen all the predators.
Okay. So Alien is a franchise that means like the world to me. I remember my dad showed me the first one when I was 10 and it scared the shit out of me and
Yeah.
I like nightmares about it. And then I've always been an Aliens over Alien person. I just Jimmy James Cameron, I have a soft spot for him over Ridley Scott. I, liked Aliens a lot more because it's more my type of film. Like I like the more bombastic blockbuster than I do the like, quieter horror movie. I mean, Alien is perfect. It's the better movie, I think. Deserves more credit. But
Yeah.
Aliens is the movie that I enjoy more. And like, I don't think there's anything that's as like potent as "Get Away from Her, You Bitch"
Yeah.
in the first one. So like nothing that like gets me like that jazzed. But they apples and oranges. Terminator 2 kind of beat,
Exactly.
Godfather 2. Like, it's either one's, a good pick. But Fede Alvarez coming to do this franchise, I was tentative. Like, I remember my dad watched the trailer with me during the home run derby, and he was like all excited, which is weird because my dad doesn't get excited. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm excited for it. And he was like, well, why don't you seem hype? And I'm like, well, it just seems like another Alien movie. And the worst thing about this Alien Romulus movie is that it is an Alien movie. You know what I mean?
Mm,
Like, my
no.
biggest problems with it is that I'm a fan of the franchise. So like, since I've seen 8, other movies where Xenomorph does all these things, I have a higher standard for what the ninth film in the franchise is going to deliver. You know what I mean? Because I've seen the facehugger stuff, I've seen the acid, I've seen the Xenomorph, we've done the airlock before. Like, so the way that the relationship that this movie has with Prometheus is very important to me. The way that this movie doesn't have a relationship with Alien Covenant is very disappointing to me. And then the way that this movie pays homage to Alien and Aliens, I think is the worst things about the movie. Because when I heard that this is the highest grossing horror movie of 2024, I was like, oh, if I judge this as a horror movie, it's the best horror movie of the year. But because it's got the baggage of being attached to this like franchise that I care so deeply about, I'm like picking it apart with like a fine tooth comb. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, the two
It's
fan service things that happen in the movie, I think are unforgivable. Unforgivable. Do you know what I'm talking
yeah,
about?
and I do,
And do we want to talk about
especially
it?
no, no, I mean, we yeah, we'll talk about the one at least that I know what you're talking about when it comes to bringing back a deceased character into a movie that we've done in other Star Wars properties, which is becoming a big thing again now in the news when it comes to the estate suing Disney, I guess, over it. I don't know what the actual deal is with that, but
Mm.
the estate, from what I've heard and from what Fede Alvarez has come out and said and everything, the estate approved everything about this one, but it also still just was it necessary? No. That's the one thing that I will say completely. Like it wasn't bad by any means. It was I didn't personally hate it, but if it was not there and if it was any other robot, that would have been just fine. Even if it had the same knowledge of that other being, if it was
Mm.
not him, it would have been fine with me. You know what I'm saying?
I I just think it looks disgusting. You know what I mean? And then every time he's like quoting the original movie, I'm like, yes, I've seen Alien. I understand. And then the other thing was, well, I'm always anti bringing someone back like that. Like, I can't think of an example. I think the only example I do like is in Blade Runner 2049, where they bring back a specific character, and that's supposed to be fucked up.
Yeah.
Like, they're not doing it as like, oh, everyone cheer, this person showed up and says the thing.
Yeah, no,
It's
though
like we're using that, as like a not
I
pedophilic,
would
but like perverted kind of like way of torturing someone.
it's nowhere near the atrocity that was Ghostbusters Afterlife,
Oh my God.
but it definitely still, it's just, yeah, like I said, you could have just cast a new person, done makeup enough like him if you really wanted to do that. It's just
Mhm.
so weird, and it's not going to age well either as technology advances. And it's just, yeah, it's just going to look stupid, but I
Mhm.
like a lot of the different things, especially when it comes to, without trying to spoil too much, the girl that's pregnant there.
Mhm.
That was pretty cool what comes of that and different things like that. It was Dora the Explorer and she was explored by some aliens.
I will say it subverted my expectations because I thought we were going in a Queen direction,
Yeah.
and we did not. And I'm very satisfied with what we did, and I've seen the behind the scenes stuff, and the actor that was able to accomplish the final boss of the movie. I think that's like super awesome, and that's honestly one of my favorite things about the film. And it feels like something that pushes the franchise forward instead of like the Ian Holmes stuff, which feels like it holds the franchise back. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like especially with I don't know specifically. You probably know a little bit more seeing some of the special effects stuff, but it felt like they used a lot more practical stuff than they've used in a lot of the past, at least few Alien properties.
Oh yeah, that's a big complaint with Alien Covenant because they shot a lot with practical like xenomorphs and whatnot, but
Yeah.
in post they decided it didn't look like just right, so they made it more CGI, and you could definitely tell that it's a lot more
Yeah.
CGI, which I'm fine with because back in we have the great practical alien stuff. We have Alien and Aliens, and so getting a movie where we can show like that whole sequence where the xenomorph is like on top of the ship and whatnot. Like that's kind of the poster in Alien Covenant. That's just stuff you really can't do practically. So, I mean, I love Alien Covenant. I love it a lot. But yeah, here it does seem like a lot more stuff is practical, and I do really appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm a big Prometheus guy. I can't remember exactly. I'd have to rewatch Covenant, honestly. It's been a while, but yeah, when it comes to, I'm especially excited for this one to do the things that it did because similar to like Prey that came out a couple of years ago now,
Hmm.
I like these sequels that are almost rebirthing the franchise, but if they didn't continue then that's fine. But it like takes it into a direction where like they're not directly like destroying anything and doing something crazy. They're just kind of like adding more to what we already have a little bit. Like they're not when it comes to like even like Beetlejuice a little bit where it's so long in the future where you're bringing back the exact same story and exact same characters, where these ones are more like you can still continue a little bit of that story, but also just tell a completely different thing and not have to worry about all those different loose ends you need to tie up, especially like you were saying with all the different references to Alien and Aliens, especially if they would have cut those more down a little bit and just tried to be its own thing, it probably would have been even stronger.
Exactly. Like the quote that a certain character makes at the end of the movie. I despise that. I
Yeah.
think that it's pandering to us. It makes no sense in universe because like cursing is an emotional form of vernacular. And so why would a character with no emotions, you know, curse? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like just in universe, it doesn't make sense. Out of universe, it's just pandering. But I don't know. I think the reason I'm so upset is because I do love Covenant so much, and I love where the note that movie leaves us off on, and I want to see where they were going. So knowing that this movie, like we did a fun thing. You like the Underworld movies, right?
I do.
So
Very
I own
guilty
all
pleasure.
yeah, I yes, I own all five, right? And so I was talking to Lauren, and I was like, I'm gonna say these titles in alphabetical order to you, and I want you to guess the order that they, were released in. And she, obviously she didn't get much of any of them correct. And I think that would be interesting to do with Alien as well to someone who doesn't know the Alien franchise, because you're like, if I said right now, the just based on titles what movie does Alien Romulus seem like it's the most, naturally connected to?
I honestly don't even know. I'd have to really.
Alien Covenant, right? That's
Yeah.
the only other movie that's alien colon and then
Yeah.
some
Colon.
bullshit
Yeah.
word, right? Like there's
Yeah.
Alien Resurrection, but there's no colon there,
Yeah.
you
And there's like the
know?
AVPs, which don't really count in this conversation, but
Yeah, but this is nothing to do with Covenant. So it's so frustrating that we're just like, I mean, I'm happy I like when I saw Goo, I started like cheering, you know what I mean?
well, the only thing when it comes to the titles that I'm happy they didn't do, similar to this pumpkin behind me, they didn't do a sequel
Oh,
and just call
Alien.
it Alien. Like fuck
Yeah.
off. I hate when that's one thing that when they did the new Halloween series, which I'm a defender of still to this day,
Mm.
I hated the fact that they started with just calling it Halloween, especially when you're not going to remake the original. It's still going to be after the first Halloween, but you're still going to name it the same thing. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I just wish it's so safe. Like they're like, okay, well, let's attach it to and it'll be a sequel to Alien. It's a requel situation. It's kind of like how we have like a million Terminator sequels to Terminator 2.
Do
It's
something like they
like
do with like, especially when it comes to the Cloverfield series, where they just randomly release a movie and they won't even tell you that's a part of the series until it's like the very end or some crazy shit like that. Like, there's no studios that just won't happen anymore because our studios are so built into we need to have an existing IP that people can know. So when they see it on their TV screens or on their phones when they're scrolling through Twitter and all that shit, that, oh, that's something I recognize. Let's see what that is. And they'll go watch the 50th Marvel movie and the 10th remake of this movie and still bitch about it being this 10th remake of that said movie, but won't go see something when it's something like, I don't know what that is, and just continue to just go past it or don't go to the theater whatsoever because you'd rather pirate shit.
Yeah, it's really easy to be cynical about this movie, and every negative word that anyone said about this movie, I wholeheartedly agree with. That being said, 4 out of 5. I think it's really fun. I really enjoy Kaylee Spaney. I just wish that she was able to get a part-time job in this movie. That's a Priscilla reference. I just hate that
Haven't seen
fucking
it.
movie. Oh yeah, no, I had a whole bit about like because she just wanted a part-time job so fucking bad like just as like a hobby and it's like fuck you people work part-time jobs for a living you fuck but no I digress. David Janssen, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correct, but he's awesome in this movie. He plays the new android in the
Yeah,
film.
he was in Rye Lane, I think, on
Yeah,
Hulu.
really good movie. Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed him. This movie, he
Hmm.
was he was good. It felt
Oh
weird
wow, because he's like
sometimes.
the breakout star it seems from this.
I didn't I don't know. His performance portraying, I don't know. It just felt a little weird to me at times, but
He
I think
always
for
looks
the
like he's
most part,
crying like on the verge of tears like.
yeah. Like when I watched him in Rye Lane, I think I liked him way more in that versus this performance, but
Mhm.
still, it's funny that we're both on, like, you're more cynical, but we're both 4 out of 5 on this, so.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I will condemn the film for all the things that it did wrong, but it's really fun. There's some inventive sequences, like the whole acid sequence was really wonderful, and the excessive amount of like face huggers, like waving towards them. That was amazing. I love how the world building, in this movie, like. They never like establish why there's such a concern and a desire to like push science forward and like why do we need these bioweapons? What war are we fighting? Like why do we need to focus on the perfect organism? What's the fucking deal here? And so like starting off on a planet where there is no sun, where people are basically slaves and like it's totally unjust and they'll just up their sentence, like out of thin air, like it's nothing. Like it really adds to the desperation of not only our individual characters in the film, but the overall society and Weyland-Yutani corporation as a whole. So I really did appreciate stuff like that.
Yeah, this movie starts a lot of different things, and if they continued after it, I'd be pretty interested, especially if Betty Alvarez or someone continues at least where they come from here. Let's not jump to a completely different story right away. I think it'd be fun to kind of explore some things, but I think there is, I don't know if you, because you're not as much of a TV guy, I think there's a FX show
Alien
that's
Earth.
starting. Yeah. And I'm interested in that because I mean the guy who's show running it, I believe, is the same guy who did like the Dan Stevens show on FX not too long ago. I cannot remember what it's called right now.
Well, I heard that it's a
It was like an
prequel.
X-Men show.
I know this show's like a prequel, and I heard the rumors that it might like retcon some Prometheus stuff. So I'm pretty anti Alien Earth.
Oh,
Also the concept of like because I heard the director talk about it, he's like, oh, like seeing an alien like on our turf, like seeing it in the woods or seeing it in the snow or whatever the hell in suburbia. Um, that's scary, and whatnot. And I'm like, oh, you mean like Requiem? Like AVP Requiem, like the
yeah, no
worst,
one no one
arguably the
talks
worst
about
alien movie ever,
that.
I don't know. And we got like the alien in the forest and Covenant, I don't know. I just think that I hold Prometheus and Alien Covenant very near and dear to my heart. Obviously, they're like, because I'm gonna go Aliens, Alien, Prometheus, Covenant, Romulus. Uh, Fuck it, give me Alien 3, give me Resurrection, which I think is fun, and then AVP and then AVP 2. What do you got?
Yeah, at the moment mine's Aliens, Prometheus, this new one,
Oh, okay.
and then probably Covenant after that, and then I haven't seen those other ones, but
Yeah, fuck the
well,
other ones.
yeah, the I like the third one, the Alien 3 for the most part. I think it's fine. But the fourth one especially, with the one with like Ron Perlman or whatever, I did not like.
it's fun. It's very Joss
It's been a
Whedon-y.
long time, but
But yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. It's got Winona Ryder, who was in
oh,
Beetlejuice.
I forgot about that. Yeah. It doesn't like, isn't there a scene where like uh
Basketball.
yeah, I was just about to say the
Fuck.
basketball scene just popped into my brain.
Yeah, she made it on the first shot on set. Like that
That's
was like a whole
hilarious.
like thing. But yeah, no, I love this franchise. I'll see more Alien movies. I will say with this exact storyline that we're following in Romulus, I have no earthly idea what they could possibly do going forward. Like
Yeah.
all I hope, I'm like really happy for the financial success of this movie because I'm like, oh well, now they might let Ridley Scott finish his thing, and I mean, especially like, well, it depends, I guess, what happens with Gladiator 2, how much of a success that is. Does Ridley Scott even want to do it? Does Michael Fassbender even want to do it? Because if Fassbender's not back, then you can fucking keep it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it becomes an age thing because these things aren't supposed to age at all. So like having Fassbender, in real life grow a little bit older, and then oh, it's Disney, so let's go full Dial of Destiny and let's digitally de-age him, which that's one of the scenarios where I would be like, fine, because I think The Irishman, like that would kind of play by those same rules. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just as long as it's with the Irishman, you don't get too old of people where like their body movements are old men, but look like
Mm-hmm.
they're like 40, but
Mm-hmm.
talking like they're 60.
Yeah, I think that I'm excited. I'll see any Alien movie. But that being said, we really need to like keep it fresh because at the end of the day, this was just another Alien movie. It was, a group of people. They encounter an alien. We get the facehugger thing. We get the xenomorph thing. We get the acid thing. We get the airlock thing. On paper, if you zoom out, I watched the same fucking movie I've seen 8 other
Yeah,
times.
you can swap titles with a few different ones and you don't really have to change too much.
Yeah, but overall, really good movie. It's on my top 10 list. I can't really complain too much. I think it's right up there with what the fuck is the Apes movie? Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Which one do you like more?
Hmm, very different in tone and things, but
Kingdom doesn't piss me off like Alien does, but
I was
I
about
think
to
Alien has
say
higher highs.
if I had to sit down and watch another one right now, it'd probably be Alien, but I'm still very interested in rewatching Planet of the Apes too, because it was just fun. But one movie, so we'll jump off of this one. One that's super original, at least a bit. There's some other similar things, but from a director, first time director, Zoe Kravitz, we got Blink Twice. Now,
Mhm.
this one was kind of on my radar for a bit. I think you mentioned it to me to go see it, that I would probably enjoy it. I feel like something, did you ever see it?
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%. I really liked it.
Yeah. So I went and saw it finally when I finally had a day off to see it, and my review right here is actually the best way to sum up my feelings about it. It's like if Don't Worry, Darling was actually written well.
Yeah, I didn't mind Don't Worry, Darling, but yes, I definitely got shades of that. I got shades of Get Out. People were talking about The Menu as another one.
Yeah.
I do think it's very derivative of a lot of different things. I
Yeah.
just think the funniest thing about the movie is we were talking about like the classist, themes in the film and the elite, the rich and powerful, like abusing said power over other people, like common folk. And I think that was like the least compelling of all the themes going on in the movie.
Yeah.
Like that was all very obvious and overt. I thought that the kind of the reveal of what was going on was kind of underwhelming. Like, oh, that was it. That's it. They were just doing that. Okay. I mean, yeah, don't get me wrong. Like that's like a heinous crime and it's really horrific, especially the scene where we watch it happen. Honestly, I
Yeah.
felt as horrified during that scene as I did. And this is like the biggest compliment I could possibly give the movie. Remember Nope when everyone was in the thingy being
Yeah.
digested?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I felt when it was kind of revealed what was actually happening to these people at this place. Am I being vague enough?
Yes, I do think so. And yeah, it is, it didn't do anything like crazy that I wasn't ever expecting throughout the movie. I mean, it definitely took some twists, but it
Mhm.
wasn't like completely like, oh my God, that was like so shocking, blah blah blah. It's like No, I get what you're doing here, and I really enjoyed it, but it's not anything like super crazy. That's not anything that, like I said, Don't Worry, Darling. It's still like I did enjoy that movie too for the most part, but it is just so messy with everything around it too. This one just feels like I don't know, especially when it comes to the style of shooting it and things like that and the editing, which I don't know. I'm very curious to see what Zoe Kravitz does after this because this is the first thing she's worked on, and I hope she kind of continues in like a. I would love to see her do like a just weird ass horror movie with the type of like editing that's in this and everything, and just do something very. I mean, even take it down if she wants to do a similar route. She could do something like similar to a Barbarian or something, and probably do some really cool, crazy stuff. And for some
Mhm.
reason, I thought she was going to be in the movie, but she wasn't, and I really liked that.
I really like her a lot. I think that she has the juice as a filmmaker, and I would love to see what she does next. Um, I just think that another thing I love about that, I think Channing Tatum is a lot of fun, especially getting to see him as a villain. Have we
Yeah.
seen him as a villain before? I mean, maybe there's an obvious answer that I'm just not
Um,
thinking of.
that I can
But
think of right off the top of my head, nothing jumps to the front of my brain.
yeah,
Let's
so I
look at
really
this.
enjoyed that. The
Well,
whole like supporting cast I really enjoyed too, like Simon
the
Rex.
sorry, the only time he's ever really been a villain that I can think of was the Hateful Eight.
Oh
He
yeah,
was one of the
which
cowboy
like
guys. He was barely in
barely,
it. Yeah.
I'll never forget that because I remember, Hateful Eight, like we knew the fucking cast. It was like Quentin Tarantino movie. So I go into it and the whole entire time I'm like, where's Channing? So
Hmm.
like the reveal of him was kind of ruined just because the movie is as big of a movie as it is.
Yeah.
But here I really enjoyed him. I think the girl is the girl from the Rise of Skywalker who played the female Finn, another stormtrooper who goes away from the First Order and secretly has like Jedi like powers within her.
Yeah.
I forgot her name, but um
Naomi Aki or something like that.
yeah, she's great. The girl from Arrested Development is here
Yeah.
as well. I like her. I'm kind of disappointed because Simon Rex, I'm a huge Red Rocket fan. So the fact that he hasn't done anything since, like really, I mean, I what have you seen him in since?
I haven't even seen Red Rocket. The last thing I've seen him in was like Scary Movie 3, probably.
No, yeah, that's why. Because Red Rocket is kind of Simon Rex's Uncut Gems, which is again the nicest possible thing I could say about it.
Yeah.
But with Anora coming out, I definitely recommend that you seek it out because it's another Sean Baker film. Do you like the Florida Project?
Yes.
Yeah, same type beat. I mean, Tangerine. Have you seen Tangerine?
Not yet.
Oh, watch it around Christmas. It's a good Christmas movie. But yeah, no, I like seeing him here. I wish I got to see more of him here. But and then Christian Slater is also here.
Christian Slater, Haley Joel Osment, just a bunch of random people.
Yeah, so I really enjoyed the film. It's really scary. It's really interesting. I really like the religious themes. Like I got a very overt like Garden of Eden vibe. There's snakes around, and they have the key to I mean without spoiling things like the stuff about the fruit, the fruit of knowledge.
Yeah.
Like a lot of religious ideas were like spinning around my head. And then the movie, how it ended, I like it's one of those good for her type beats but
Yeah.
I was kind of like, I don't know. I was like, oh, that's not very virtuous. You know what I mean?
No,
I mean, I get
yeah.
it's
I
justified, but it's like you're just doing the same thing. You know what I mean?
exactly. I that's why I kind of liked it. It almost is like, oh, she's not really the hero you kind of wanted her to be the whole time. She had her own motives secretly that you just didn't, as the audience member, kind of know about. So that was what I kind of liked about that ending, but I get that.
Like if I had happened to me what she had happened to her, I would also do it.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean it's a good thing. You know what I mean?
No,
Like,
yeah.
it's just fire with more
It's very
fire
evil.
kind of
Like
a
it makes
beat.
her a very just not as bad, but still nowhere near innocent.
Yeah, like a Midsommar, maybe an
Yes.
Us kind of vibe where it's like, oh, you're fucked up, kind of
Hmm.
beat. But yeah, I really like the film. I think it's one of my more. I don't know if I did I put it on my top 10 of the year so far because it's. I will say, I just want to go on a little side tangent. What a such a like cynical thing I'm about to say. What a terrible year for film. Like I've
Yeah.
watched so many, like I just watched Uglies. Obviously, we're not going to talk about that in depth. But that fucking sucked. And I was like, wow, there my bottom 10 list of the year, which I obviously I'm not following yet, like I do my top 10 list. But my bottom 10 list is far worse than my top 10 list is good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, I agree 1,000,000%. Mine is probably going to be mostly Netflix originals because
Hmm.
Netflix has just been pooping out everything they have lately,
Oh
and I
my
haven't even been
God,
catching
yeah.
up. Similar to how you're talking about with Uglies, like there's so many different things, like that one you mentioned about it being like a super bad rip-off type movie. I saw that the
Oh,
other day scrolling
Incoming.
through. Yeah.
Yeah. There's just so much shit out there. And like, for example, like is what's more? Is Madam Web more shit than Dune Part 2 is great?
Yes.
Like, is Ghostbusters Frozen Empire or Argyle more bad than Furiosa is great? And then the only other five-star movie I have this year is the fucking Bike Riders, which is technically a 2023 movie, and a lot of people like aren't too crazy about it. So like how many other like unadulterated like absolute successes? I mean, Challengers, Deadpool, Wolverine. I mean, our Lord and Savior made Trap this year. But like still
Still
all
haven't
those
watched it.
movies have their detractors. Like how many universally beloved movies are there this year?
Not a lot, honestly, because like rounding out my top 10 is I saw the TV Glow, and that's probably one that people either really like or they fucking hated. So like
No, I was pretty lukewarm about that one, but it stuck with me over time. I will say that just to transition to another film. I mean, did you have any other final notes about Blink Twice? I'm at a 4 out of 5. I was really happy. I think I was a 4 out of 5. I might have given it a 3. Let me double check.
I did a 4 out of 5. You did a 4 out of 5. I can see it right here.
Oh, thank God. Okay. Um, but another movie that is an unadulterated success, I feel like, from the people who've seen it. I mean, box office wise, considering how much it cost, it's a success. But it's not like a huge hit. But everyone who's seen Strange Darling is so fucking happy about it. And I am too. I went in blind. All I knew is that it was called Strange Darling, and the poster had a girl with red hair in it, and there's a guy with a gun.
I
And
was about to say, what you've said so far is all that I know. So should I know more or should I
no,
go
no,
in
no,
as
no,
blind
no,
as you?
no, no, please, please save yourself. No, it's wonderful. It's beautiful. I was actually really happy. My roommate Xavier, I like hit him up one day and I was just like, hey, I'm going to watch this movie. I have no idea what it's about. I know it's called this and it's rated this, R rated, not like Rotten Tomatoes rated. But I know people are talking about it. So let's go see it. And he was like, fuck it, let's go. And I was just like, wow, like that's so pro cinema of you to just like embark upon like an unknown mystery box movie like this. And boy, was I rewarded for it because there's so many twists and turns in the film. It's got such a unique style of presentation. It's got memorable characters. It's a thrilling movie. It's got a sense of humor to it a little bit. It's very twisted and dark in ways that like I wasn't like expecting. It's a very erotic film as well, which is I enjoy when the horror films delve into that a little bit.
I didn't even know it was a
But
horror film until you said that.
well, I mean, you could kind of put the dots together because
No,
it's gonna
yeah,
be on
no.
Shutter. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I've seen the poster. It's not playing in any of the theaters around me, unfortunately, or else I probably would have seen it already because I try to see everything horror wise, but I'm excited to see it whenever it hits Shutter or whatever.
Yeah, well, I'm really excited for you. I am going to say it. I'm going to make a bold prediction, and thank God we have this show, so it'll be on record, man. And when I said this in fucking 4 months, I'm gonna be like, I told you. Um, it's gonna be on your top 10 list. Like, I'm so obnoxiously confident that you're going to like really dig this movie. I don't want to hype it up too much. Now you're like,
No,
I'm
yeah.
watching the best movie of the year now, and it's like,
No,
oh, it's good.
I'll
Yeah.
temper my expectations, but I am very excited to know about this movie that I still know nothing about.
Good. No, nothing. No, nothing at all. Because that was really rewarding for me. Any other? Well, I guess we can go back and forth here with some other smaller
Well, one
releases
that
this
we
year that we
saw
saw.
together, well, not together, but we both saw actually recently, The Crow. We should
Ha!
touch on that one for just a minute. I mean, I don't have a whole ton to talk about, but I will say
Excuse me.
when it comes to like our mutual friend Chad, who gave it a half star, I do not think it is a half star movie,
Mhm.
but from someone who just watched the first Crow probably right around 8 months to a year ago, about now, I want to say, genuinely, probably like when it comes to non-2024 released movies, I'm keeping a list of those too, of ones that I've watched for the first time this year. That is probably my favorite first watch of the year right now. Like it is genuinely one of my favorite. I bought the comics, I haven't read them yet, but I immediately bought those. Like I was crow pilled from the first watch and I loved it so much. So I was interested in this remake, but I wasn't really too thrilled about it. It's gone through hell. I mean, it's had so many different actors. Like I looked at the trivia thing on IMDb and I want to say it had listed like 12 or 15 different actors on everywhere from like Tom Hiddleston to Jason Momoa and just a bunch of different ones. But it got made with Pennywise himself and someone named Twigs, and it was fine.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was a weird name. Um, I was surprised because I was kind of late to this one.
Me
I had
too.
heard it was like dog shit. I heard it was like in that Madam Web, type territory. And it looked bad. And I had always been like anti The Crow. And I think we talked about it on our last episode. I only watched it because you recommended it. It was on your Voodoo, and
Hmm.
you were like, Adam, really give it a chance. Because I was always like, it looks like something I wouldn't really care much for. And I haven't heard anyone say anything about it. But that movie rips. And then
Hmm.
watching this new one, I'm like, wow, the original really rips. That being said, watching this new one, I kind of liked it a little bit. Like, I don't get me wrong, I give it a bad review. It's 2 out of 5. It's not a good movie. I think that Bill Skarsgård is wrong for the role. I
Yeah.
think that the tattoos remind me too much of Jared Leto with their cheesiness. The whole goth vibe, I wasn't buying at all. I didn't, Lauren said she liked the music and the score, and I was like, what?
I did that too as well, actually, so I get what she's saying.
Oh, good. Thank God. Because I was
No,
like,
but the one thing, like we were talked about with Alien Romulus or whatever, this movie would have benefited from not being a Crow movie. Like I mean even or be a Crow movie, but don't be Eric and Shelley. Be different people. The Crow thing can attach, like they did sequels where the Crow thing can attach to different people and stuff. Like you can still explore that mythology and stuff, and that would have been cool, but like I just think it went into such large shoes to try to fill with this one just even on release, like it wasn't like a huge darling of a success when the first one came out, but over the last 30 years, that movie has built such a huge cult following that like trying to even get a remake off of the ground, just studios didn't want to touch it for so long. And it kind of shows here because like we talked about, we didn't get to it till way late, even though we were more lukewarm about it. I gave it a 2.5, you gave it a 2, so like we didn't love it by any means, but I just don't think it's as horrible as these diehard fans just had such a, like I said, large shoes to fill into such a different vision probably painted in their head of what they wanted to see that once it wasn't following that exact roadmap, they were just like fucking hate this movie. And I don't think it really deserves that level of hate. It's not a great movie by any means, but it's watchable. And the action stuff, I enjoyed it for the most part, especially that whole scene when it was like doing the cross cutting with the opera and him going through all the security team. Like that was badass. I really enjoyed that sequence, but the first like half hour or two, like the whole Eric and Shelley story, I didn't feel like I missed it in the original, and seeing it this way, I don't feel like I missed it still. Like they could have started when she died, and that would have been fine to me still.
I think you hit the nail on the head. I was literally going to bring up the opera scene because that I was like, oh, this is R rated. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, there's some like with the sword in the chest, the cutting off the guy's jaw. Like, there's so many memorable like R rated fight action moments in this movie. And then I wasn't into the romance until we got to I really like the shot, and I made it my background on Letterboxd. But I love the shot of him
The
kissing
sheet.
her through the sheet.
Yeah.
Like it's stupid. No one would ever fucking do that because it's gross. But
Yeah.
like the metaphor of the situation, I thought was really poignant.
Yeah, there are some good things in this bad movie. So that's why it's like it's not I think it's worth a chance if some people are kind of like interested. Don't go run out to the theater, don't spend a bunch of money on it. But if it's like on a Netflix or something and you got a couple hours, I think it's fun enough. But at the same time, I also think that once it gets to be available and the action scenes are cut out and put on YouTube in a little compilation, I'll probably be watching that versus actually watching the movie ever again.
Hmm. I if it was in the $5 bin at Walmart, or if it was like on DVD, or if it was in $5 on Blu-ray, DVD, and digital on Black Friday, I would buy it. And even if it was 750, I would buy it. I think anything above there, I would probably
Yeah,
not.
if it was on like a Vudu and it was on sale, I might just throw it in my library to turn on for someone to just be like, "Oh, you've watched the original one? Well, watch it. It's not that bad." Blah blah blah. Something like that. Like
I
it's
would
more of
never
like a
recommend it
talking.
though.
Yeah, it's more of like a let's talk about the we can compare and contrast or just have a
Mhm.
conversation about the movie versus actually like sitting down and watching it for enjoyment, you know?
Mhm. I just think his voice is so whiny. Like he's supposed to be this like dark character, and he's
Dude,
like,
when he was like the scene when they were like actually the murder of Eric and Shelley, when he was like screaming about them like choking her and stuff, I legitimately I was sitting in my apartment. It was like 8 a.m. and I was like, oh God, I like started to turn down my TV. I was like I was like, no, 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 no. I was like,
Wait, you
people are
watched it at
gonna
home?
yeah, I rented it.
Oh, wow. It's already available? It's
It's
still
on
in
Vudu to rent,
theaters.
yeah.
That's insane. I watched it in a theater literally on Monday, which was, by the way, the greatest night of my life because the Eagles lost on prime time to the
Hell yeah.
Falcons. But also, I left the movie 30 minutes in to check the ending of the Mets game, and they won. And so, like, I was on top of the world during the movie. But yeah, it was in Theater 8, which is a small auditorium, and it was pretty packed. Like, there was about a dozen of us in there. And I'll say this, a wonderfully behaved audience. Because I watched 2 hours prior, I had watched Speak No Evil, and what an awful, disgustingly abhorrent audience that was just talking during all the quiet, like tensiony scenes at the climax. Um, I could touch on Speak No Evil. You didn't see Speak No Evil, right?
Nope.
I would like to recommend it to you. I think I gave it a 3. I think I'm probably closer to a 4. I think that there's a lot of things that the movie has to say, like ideas that it plays around with that I think are really interesting. I don't think it's the most shocking, like, like, whoa, they were doing like, you think Blink Twice is kind of like, that's it. This is also a that's it kind of situation. But I'm a big James McAvoy fan, and his performance is really great. I think it's really relatable because it's like a double date from hell, and so I really love that. But yeah, no, I think it's all right. I think it's a good time. I don't necessarily need to go to the theater for it. I have a very different experience with it than everyone else did because if you look at the like genres on Letterboxd, comedy is not one of them. But I'll tell you what, for the first 2/3 of the movie, this was like not I'm laughing at the movie. I was laughing with the movie for the first 2/3, like out loud, and I'm the only one. But like, it's so fun. Have you seen the trailer?
Yes, when he's like they're like, "You're oh, I'm not a doctor," and stuff like that.
Yeah, all of those
Like
awkward
gaslighting
things
them.
are so like they're not they're played up to be these big scary like jump scary moments in the trailer, and it's like no, they're just little like weird things that happen. But remember the Cotton Eye Joe thing? The kids are doing the dance, and he's like, "No, no, you're gonna feel the rhythm in your feet." And he literally physically moves his feet.
Yeah.
That's hilarious, and I was cackling during that scene. And just because like there's so many like double date things where like and then you have a kid on top of it because I've been on plenty of double dates, but like imagine have fucking child being in the mix and just be wanting to, and not even like double dates make it feel relatable, just in general, just the idea of being put in a social situation where you have other people involved, and you want to be polite and you want to feel like you don't want to be rude and you don't want to offend anybody, but you also want to stick up for the like individual like feelings and preferences of the people in your party, and trying to play nice. It's I think it was really, I'm really talking myself into a 4 out of 5 right now, but I don't think it's one I'll ever rewatch. I would get it for $10 on Blu-ray on Black Friday. I would not spend 15.
Quick question before we move on. Did you ever watch the original of this?
No, but my buddy spoiled the ending of it for me. I consented to it being spoiled because I probably won't.
It's different endings.
Yeah, it's different endings. I mean, I won't tell you.
No, yeah,
Wait, did
no.
you see the original?
No, not yet. I didn't even know it was a
Okay.
remake till like a few days ago.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Like it's a good movie. Yeah, probably way closer to a 4 than a 2. I just think it's one that I'm not really gonna think about very much. And after a month, you know what I mean?
Well, a movie that I just saw, not today, but a couple days ago, that's probably closer to a 3 than it is a 3.5, which is my rating on Letterboxd, and that is the new Dave Bautista joint being The Killer's Game. It is fine. It is a fun action movie. And that's all it kind of is. It starts off as like a bit of like a romance, like, oh, this guy doesn't want to be a hitman anymore. He just wants to kind of just fall in love and kind of have a normal life. And then some other stuff happens and he finds out that, oh, maybe that's not gonna happen. Yeah, I don't know how much you know about the story, but
No, I'm aware of what it's like about. I have zero interest. Besides the fact that I
yeah,
like Dave Batista and it's cute that Palm Clementif is in it.
yeah,
The Mantis
Mantis, yeah. Like the the chemistry between Dave Bautista and what is her name? Sophia
Butella.
Butella, yeah. The
Butella.
chemistry between them is good. It's believable more than I thought it would be. Dave's a good romantic lead, honestly. Like he keeps saying he wants to be in a rom-com. I fully consent to that. It sounds like a great time. And Dave Bautista is the best part of this movie. He's charming. He does a lot of the stunt choreography because obviously with his wrestling background, but a lot of this movie is very much, I mean, it feels like John Wick with comedy in it because a lot of it, the highlights of it, I mean, the guy who directed it is a stunt coordinator on a bunch of those John Wick movies and other things like that. So all of the action sequences are the best parts of it. The comedy's fun. We have Terry Crews in there as a supporting role in there, and he does some fun stuff in there, but overall it's very much not going to be remembered at the end of the year. It's like a 3.5 range. It's fun, but it's nothing. I don't think you'll probably enjoy it very much because it's just more of that action comedy realm that probably, yeah, especially because like it's more my realm because I'm a Dave Batista fan from wrestling and there's other wrestlers in the movie too. So it just like checks more boxes for me outside of the movie than it does really inside of it in a lot of ways. So
Mhm.
it's just one of those movies that like my brother wanted to see it more than I did. So that's kind of why I saw it.
No, I think like I said, I like Dave Batista. I'll probably see it eventually. I probably won't see it in theaters. Do you know what studio did it? So I'm just trying to
Give me
like do
two
my streaming math. You know
seconds.
what I mean? Do you ever do that with a movie? You're like, oh well, it's from this studio, so it probably would be on this service.
STX Films,
Oh fuck. Uh
Dogbone, Mad Chance. It's not a major studio, it doesn't look like.
okay. It feels like something that would just go on Netflix. But like, because right now there's one like I really want to do that Back to Black. It's on Peacock, the Amy Winehouse movie.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be a situation like that where I wait for it just to come out on a streaming service and I don't go out of my way. I mean, I've
Yeah,
been very
it's
good lately, man. I caught The Crow right before it had one showtime at 9 o'clock.
you're doing much better than I am. Even when it
Like,
comes to the Netflix originals and everything too. Like I've been falling behind on everything. But
mhm.
one thing that I am ahead of you on is today I went and
uh,
saw Kevin Smith's new movie, the 4:30 movie. Didn't see it at 4:30, saw it at 11 a.m. But
mhm.
it was honestly probably if you're not a fan of Kevin Smith's, it's the most like easy to walk into. You don't really, it's not really connected deeply to any of his other work. It's not like, oh, there's Jay and Silent Bob popping up for a brief cameo, blah blah blah. Kevin Smith, surprisingly, not in his own movie, no cameos from him. His daughter still shows up and Jason Mewes still shows up, but I mean, it's still that kind of movie where there's lots of famous people in brief cameos and things like that, but the overarching story is very cute. It's set in like 1986 or something like that. So they're referencing 80s movies and being like, "Oh yeah, Bill Cosby, he's so great. He'd never do anything wrong." Just did shit like that. Silly jokes that aren't really that funny, but there are a few moments that like there were three other people in the theater with me, and there was one older gentleman who was cackling at things that were, it made it funnier for me with how much he was enjoying it. And I think that kind of added to it, but it was still just a fun kind of like coming of age. It feels like something that would have came out in like the Breakfast Club, Brat Pack era with Kevin
Mhm.
Smith's touches on it and some funny senses of humor, and honestly all centered around just people loving movies and people loving love at the same time. It's a very cutesy teen comedy, but I think it was a very fun movie. It's like a 3.5 out of 5 for me. I might even bump it up to a 4 if I watched it again, but yeah, I think yeah, it's like a indie comedy coming of age. That's how I would kind of classify it.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna see it. I like Kevin Smith a lot, and so I'm definitely into it. I did hear the only thing I heard is that it's like the Fablemans with no balls, and that's less of an insult to 430 and more of just a compliment to the Fablemans because this genre of movie, this biopic, like autobiographical, movie about like, oh, me, famous director, I'm gonna make a movie about how when I was a kid I loved movies, right?
Yeah.
And the Fablemans has the balls to be like, because most of them are just like, aren't movies beautiful? Aren't they so special and wonderful? And I know that Fablemans is the thing where I get movies or dreams from, but that movie's about like a criticism of it. You know what I mean? It's very
Yeah.
much so yeah, the incessant need that I feel to continuously make movies and the impact that it's had on my life in a negative way. And like
Yeah.
that shot, everyone keeps talking about that shot where you could see him in the mirror recording. You know what I mean?
Yeah. This
Like
one
that's such
doesn't
a fucking moment.
actually really even approach like that aspect of it as much. This one's like
No
more of
movie does besides the Fablemans.
no, but I mean like loving film from like wanting to make it. Like this is like more of like us being loving film. Like
Mhm.
these people are just
Oh,
like,
more
oh, they're
fanboy than
yeah, they're more
filmmaker.
nerds. Like it eventually wraps around to, oh, I someone like has a conversation with him. He's like, oh, maybe I do want to make movies and stuff like that instead of just watching them all the time. Maybe that's what I'm supposed to do. Like he eventually has that realization, but for the beginning, it's him and his buddy is just like, oh yeah, like the new Batman's an old 60s show. It's never gonna be a movie, ha ha ha. And just shit like that, like referencing nerdy stuff and just being silly teenage boys in the 80s.
No, yeah, it seems fun. It seems like a light, fun thing that I would enjoy. So I'll definitely get to it. I do. I vibe with your recommendation.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
nothing. One other movie I do want to talk about, just because I know that you watched it off of my Vudu as well recently, The
mhm.
Ides of March.
Oh, you love that. You
I
love
really
that.
loved that movie. I mean,
Mhm.
I've been in a little bit of a political mood lately with the election
Mhm.
coming up and things, so that kind of stuff's been at the top of my mind, but I love a good like election based like just like thriller drama type thing. And I'm not even that huge of a George Clooney guy, but I think he really cooked in a lot of different parts of this with him directing it and everything. Like you got the legend Ryan Gosling in there too, but just everybody in the movie honestly did a great job. Like Paul Giamatti, Philip Seymour Hoffman was in there, just so many great fucking people.
Yeah, the Cats is wonderful. I'm not a fan of the director, George Clooney. I think he
Yeah.
does a wonderful job here, that presidential candidate role that he plays. I think he slips into like seamlessly. Hell, I would love if George Clooney became the president. Um, it'd be better than both the options we have now. But I don't know. It's hard for me because that movie, I think I gave it like a 4 out of 5. I really liked it. I just can't see myself going back to it, but I did find it really interesting, especially a lot of the betrayal stuff and the larger implications of these like petty like rivalries that they have. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's very reminiscent to some of the different things that I've heard about politics and different things when it comes to just like the the true dirty underbelly of everything, and everyone basically trying to get one over on one another, and it's all just basically a fucking chess game of who's gonna fuck each other until eventually someone comes out on top. So it's
Mhm.
pretty crazy, but the story just it just goes in so many crazy directions that I really enjoyed the whole dramatics of it. And yeah, the cast is really what just made it that much better for me.
I think that if I had to say one that like I watched from Your Voodoo lately that I really enjoyed, actually I'm a liar. I watched this on Netflix, but it is on Your Voodoo. I really enjoyed Logan Lucky. That's one of my favorite first time watches in recent memory.
Hell yeah, I'm surprised I never recommended that because I really love that movie.
Yeah, I just
Especially
love that it approaches like the heist genre from like a different perspective, I feel like, and it's a lot less like stressful. It's a lot more like they're Hicks doing it, you know what I mean? So it's
well
very like
yeah,
silly at times.
especially like Adam Driver doing that kind of stuff is fun, but especially James Bond sneaking in there, like him changing his voice so dramatically.
Mhm.
It's just being like that little like it feels like a Theo Vaughn redneck before Theo Vaughn was a thing, honestly, because the movies came out like 10 years ago now. But
Mhm.
even Seth MacFarlane, who I usually don't really like in a lot of different roles and stuff, as that like the guy that made Family Guy or whatever, he was that douchebag guy with the mustache or whatever, that driver that comes into the bar and like starts harassing him.
No way.
Yeah, yeah.
No fucking way,
I'm not even
man.
kidding. Hold on.
Holy shit, that's so cool. I didn't even notice.
Yeah. It's such a
No,
funny little
no
cameo.
way. No
Yeah.
way. You're right. Oh my God. Can I find a picture of this? oh my God. Yep, didn't even recognize him. That's insane. I'm gonna
Yeah.
rewatch that scene now. Yeah, because that's definitely him. Yeah, 100%. That's wonderful. I wish he did more acting stuff because I think he's a really funny guy and I think he got a bad rap with stuff like oh my God, this is I love this picture so much.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's so cute. No, I really think that yeah, the movie is really fun. And it's one of my favorite. Yeah, like I said, first time watches. I mean, I give out so few fives. I'm usually the 5 out of 5 horror, and I'm giving no fives except I did The Hunt, the Mads Mikkelsen, Thomas Vinterberg
Haven't seen that.
one. Oh, I recommend it. It's super delightful. It's about a kindergarten teacher who gets accused of revealing himself to one of his students. Yeah, so like, heartfelt and warm.
Yeah.
No, he didn't do it. But no, I'm kidding. It's the most depressing movie you'd ever seen. And it's like impossible because you can't like prove that he did or didn't reveal himself to the child. And then like the way that it spirals out, and then like the entire town is just like, you're a pedophile, you're a fucking rapist. And yeah, it's like this like kind of reminds me of Halloween Kills, with the whole mob mentality bit.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, very do you like Another Round? You like Another Round. You definitely like Another
Loved
Round.
that movie, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You'd
I'm a
like
big
this.
Mac Nicholson guy. I saw one of his movies that no one else seemed to have seen when I saw it
Riders of
in
Justice.
no, it's called Arctic. It came out when I was when I lived in Florida actually, and it was me and one other guy, and the dude fucking took off his shoes sitting right next to me. I was like, what the fuck are we doing?
Who
It
let the
was just
dogs
me and
out?
him in the theater at Regal, and I was just like, I fucking hate this. I was like, get the hell out of here.
Yeah, Inside is for shoes. Oh, speaking of movies we saw at the Regal, right up here, just about. Yeah, I think it's literally here. Someone got me Uncle Drew on Blu-ray.
Hell yeah.
And that's one of the movies we saw together.
I think that might have been the
Uncle
first movie we
Drew.
saw, just the two of us.
Yeah, he got it for me as like a joke. And like I have it now. So like I
I
guess.
got it on Black Friday years ago for like $6 or something, and I was like exclusively. I don't think I've ever watched it since, but I was like, I need to own this movie.
Yeah, I mean I have it, I guess. But just to rattle off some things that I saw that I'll either recommend or not. And if you want to jump in, you can. Uglies sucks. It's literally like about like Snapchat filters and shit. Like everyone's like, oh, once you turn 16, you'll get this cosmetic surgery and you'll be pretty now. And they're all talking about wanting to be pretty. And like, you know, the whole movie she's saying things like, I didn't know I could be happy with the way that I am, like with the way that I look. And it's so like something that like 13-year-old girls would find deep. And hey, the 13-year-old girls deserve movies made for them, but unfortunately I'm not a 13-year-old girl. In so many ways, I'm not a 13-year-old girl. And then the Instigators, I think you would eat it up. I think you would really like it. It's the Ben Affleck, no, the only person who's not in it, Casey Affleck and Matt Damon movie.
I think I
Um,
saw you write about that on Letterboxd the other day. And I'd never heard of it until you wrote posted your review.
yeah, it's on. Isn't it really fucking sad because that's two Oscar. Wait, does Matt Damon have an Oscar? Yeah, he does. He wrote the fucking movie.
Good Will Hunting.
Um, Yeah, the two Oscar winners in the lead, like two household names in the lead. There's a bunch of fun side characters. Fucking Gronk is in the goddamn movie.
Apple
Um,
Plus, is that where it's at?
yeah, Apple Plus, yeah. Well, but don't worry, Argyle got a theatrical release, but The Instigators, let's just bury that on our streaming service. It's a real fucking shame. The movie's not really that great. It's not like breaking any like barriers or anything like that. You know, and it's honestly a lot of it doesn't work too well, but I enjoyed it on principle of like there's a movie with two movie stars. It's not a franchise thing. It's just, hey, watch these two movie stars run around and they, you know, encounter other stars, and that's fun, you know.
Yeah, I'm down for
Um,
that.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like if I gave it a three, I think you'd be at like a three as well. I think you might even go up to a four. Speaking of movies, I give a three that I think you might give a four to. I think you'd have a good time with Rebel Ridge on Netflix.
I know
It's kind
about
of
it, yeah. I have not started it, but it's been at the forefront of my brain every time I go on Netflix.
well, you probably heard about the drama with John Boyega, I imagine. Is that what you know about? Oh, well, that's how I was introduced to it. Apparently, like he walked off set and everything. It's a very simple concept, and it's one of those where it's like kind of like Blink Twice and Speak No Evil, where it's like the reveal of what's going on isn't really that like earth shattering.
Is the guy with the pretty eyes on the poster, is he the guy that was also in the, yeah, I was about to say M. Night movie?
Yeah, he's oh my God, mid-sized sedan.
Yeah.
That's so, which I will still say is such a missed opportunity to not have mid-sized sedan be the opener for Trap.
Dude, I haven't seen Trap, but that, yeah, that's such a missed opportunity there.
Yeah, I couldn't believe he didn't do it, especially someone who's as like into himself as M. Night is, like,
Yeah.
because there's a shot of the opener in the movie, so it's like, why not, just have mid-sized sedan do it? But fuck it. And then I rewatched Twisters, Alien, Romulus, and Despicable Me 4, which is really annoying because I didn't get anything new out of watching any of those movies again. I felt exactly the same way, which is generally positive about all of them. Afraid was awful. I had a really good time. It's very stupid and fun. There's a scene where the AI puts on the Emoji Movie for the kids, and I was like, I never thought I would see the Emoji Movie on the big screen ever again, and god damn it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's really sad because John Cho and Catherine Waterston, they're really trying and they give solid performances in this just the stupidest fucking movie you've ever seen. Like I knew right from the Sony logo that I was in for a shitter, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Incoming is like if Superbad was not good, it's really lame, but it also kind of delivers on everything that you want from that kind of movie. So I gave it two instead of one. It ends with Us. Is not made for me, weirdly enough. The Blake Lively husband, beater comedy, and not comedy, sorry.
I mean, she kind of
Drama.
sells it as it would be like a fun time with the girls, wear your
Oh
fucking
yeah, wear your
florals.
florals. Yeah. It's
So
one of those
insane.
classic things where it's like the noise around the movie is so much more interesting than the movie itself. So I don't know. I didn't like it. I understand the importance of the message. I stand by that. I think the movie's too long. I think Blake Lively's bad in it, and I kind of side with the director in a lot of the issues.
Yeah, from what I've seen, yeah, especially like I'm even like it didn't think that Ryan Reynolds would ever be in the conversation here, but I'm even mad at him with that movie being involved because apparently she had him like rewrite some scenes during the writer's strike, which is a big no-no. So if he actually did
Yeah.
that, then that even shows a lot more about him just being a fucking shit too. So
No, I agree. I think it's a huge success though, so it's kind of another Beetlejuice for me, where it's like I can sit there and hate it all I want, but people are enjoying it, and it's
Yeah,
based on a
it's
popular book, you
I about to
know.
say because the book is so popular that, like I said, there's gonna be more by that same author because studios are gonna be like, oh, people like this shit. We'll adapt every single book that she's ever written. I don't even
Mhm.
know if that'll be a good thing or not, but
Yeah, at least I'm just a very anti Blake Lively just in general. So the movie kind of,
the
and it's
more I
also
find out
not as
about
black
her,
and white as I would like. It's way too much of a gray area. And I'm gonna sound stupid because I'm a man commenting on this, but like I assumed going into it that it was gonna be a
hard
why I
stance.
oughta and
Yeah.
smacks her like deliberately. But like one of the events where he like hits her is like they were like kissing on the counter, the kitchen counter, which they do that so often in this movie. And there's something in the oven, and the timer goes off, and they kind of ignore it to keep kissing because they just got to keep kissing. And then it starts smoking, and then they freak out and they go get it out, and he grabs the thing with out of the oven with his hand, and because he does that, and weirdly enough, it's too hot, he like whips his hand back, because ow, you know what I mean, and he hits her like that, like an accident. Now he hit her, and that's wrong.
Mhm.
But like I said, I thought it was for a movie where the message
Well,
is
so the
like, hey,
movie
you got to
even made
leave
it
your
like
wife beater husband. I thought it was gonna be a why I oughta and not a oh, I'm sorry, babe, like kind of like a slapstick comedy would. Um, so yeah, there was another moment like that too, where he pushes her down the stairs. Like she revealed. I'm telling you things about the plot. I don't think you're gonna watch it.
I
Um,
might eventually just out of curiosity, very morbid curiosity.
well, yeah, then I'll keep it vague. There's another scene where like he finds out something that upsets him, and she's like, no, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, and he's like, no, stop, I'm leaving. You know what I mean? Like, and he's trying to escape the situation, and she keeps like pursuing him and like grabbing at him, and um, and then he like has a very reactive response after like, oh, this goes on for a hot minute, and that moment I was like, well, I wouldn't have necessarily pursued the man in that moment and physically gone after him like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are obviously there's moments in the movie where there are like clear cut like he's not a good person. I'm not defending him at all. I'm just saying that like some of the moment, like why include gray area moments where it's like, yeah, that's clearly a fucking accident, you
Yeah.
know. But whatever. I don't know. It's got a good message. Yeah, if you are dating an abuser, get out of there. That
Yeah.
sucks. You
You
know what I
beat him
mean?
up first.
Yeah, and hey, if this movie inspired anybody, if it inspired anybody to leave their abuser, then that's awesome.
Hell
I
yeah.
gave it 2 out of 5. It's not shit. It's also not made for me. Fuck it. You know what I mean?
Roll for some
And
first watches for me. Vampire's Kiss, both seen that one.
oh,
Very
I
fun.
love that movie so much. Oh my God.
Unhinged Caged is a fun thing to watch, and
Mm,
he's just having a blast here. Wedding Planner, not a good movie.
not good.
Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me, pretty cool movie.
And you watch the show?
I did years ago.
Oh, then yeah, you would get it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you haven't watched the show, it's like a prequel to the show technically, but it's still you need a lot of context. So definitely don't recommend it if you're not interested in watching it.
Hmm.
Other ones, Good Time, great movie. First time I've actually watched it. The
Yeah, you
Safdie.
watched on my Voodoo, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's a really good movie. The Safdie Bros. The ending of that movie, like the last shot of the movie that goes into the credits,
Mm-hmm.
super impactful. You know what I
Very
mean?
much. Yeah. That one, Jack Frost, I watched a really shitty horror movie on Peacock and it was horrible. Half star.
Hmm.
And then other than that, like we talked about, well, I don't know if we even mentioned it, but The Union on Netflix, don't waste your time. Shitty movie.
Oh, I did the Union. That was bad. I think I gave it 2. I gave it 2 though, so I didn't think it was too bad.
I gave it two, but it was a low two. J.K. Simmons deserves better is how I ended my review.
Hmm.
Motel Hell was actually, I have it on my Vudu as well. I bought it in the same pack as Vampire's Kiss. Very goofy, old school. And it was funny because like it is more of like it's like almost a I don't know. I don't even necessarily want to call it a parody, but it's almost like a parody of like slasher movies because like it's so stupid and it's making fun of like how dumb they are. But
Mhm.
while itself is also kind of being it, it's very funny and it's kind of ahead of its time. It's a 1980s parody movie,
Mhm.
but it's really goofy and I recommend just checking it out just to kind of watch it. It's not very violent, I guess, either because the director didn't he like made them he like his one deal with like making with the studios that he could cut down on a bunch of the violence that they wanted in it.
Mhm.
So that kind of sucks, but there's some memorable moments like a guy has a pig head on chasing around with a chainsaw.
Yeah, I'm seeing that here. You're my only mutuals watched. I have another mutual who has it on their one to watch list though.
It's not very good. Like I gave it a 3, but even that's being generous.
Well, it averages like a 3.
It's very fun though. Like it's one of those movies that like if you buy into the silliness of it, it's a fun watch.
Mhm. The last movie I want to bring up, I mean, Skincare was generally good. Players is generally played out. But DD, I would love to recommend DD. I thought it was really, really good. It's made my top 10 list of the year. It's very mid 90s vibes. It's very relatable. If anyone was a teen ever, you would relate to this movie. Um, he sucks, but the mom is like should get nominated at this point. Honestly, I really loved her performance. It's a really sweet film, and it's got a lot of style. And I think you would eat Dee Dee right up. I did. Like I said, 4 stars and a heart. It's on my top 10 list.
Hell yeah, I'll definitely check it out as soon as I can.
I was damn near a 5. Damn near.
I probably will be a 5. It's the more I've heard a couple things about it and it seems very much up my alley.
Mhm. But yeah, anything else? Any final thoughts?
I don't think so. I think we've pretty much covered everything that I can think of.
All right. Well, hey, movies are dreams. I haven't done a review since like Alien, but I'm seeing A Different Man tonight at a screening, and I'm going to record one for that. Probably going to catch up on like a Beetlejuice, do that, maybe a Blink Twice, maybe an It Ends With Us, maybe I'm Speak No Evil probably, and The Crow maybe. But yeah, I will be getting more on my review tracked as we get into awards season. I'm gonna have a little bit more time. I'm taking less commitments, and I'm really focused on it. But better movies need to come out, and then I'll
Yeah.
be more focused.
Well, speaking on that as well, if no one's looked recently, they don't need to because the Film Fan Reviews has not been touched in almost a year now, probably, other than occasionally releasing one with my niece whenever she wants to record one. But I have my own apartment now. I'm in my own room. I'm recording in for the first time today. I have a stand attached to this desk that I can put my camera on. So the Film Fan Reviews will be back as soon as I have free time to start shooting again, which will be on the weekends, hopefully. But I'm going to make a content separate. I think the first video I make again will probably be a long one where I just literally roll through 2024 and kind of catch you up on stuff that I've seen. So keep an eye out for that. I wanted to do one on Friday the 13th, but that came and went long before I could ever do it. But we're gonna get more on some horror franchises and shit too, because I love doing those like rankings and whatnot.
Awesome. Yeah, well, movies are dreams. Catch us next time when we'll touch on Transformers 1. Maybe Joker. I don't know what's the 18th. If we do it in 2 weeks, Joker will be out, and I imagine you'll prioritize that a little bit.
Yes.
So we'll do those and maybe some other things. And thank you guys so much for watching movies and watching us talk here today. And movies are dreams.
Yeah, keep listening to that ass. Clap, clap.